and welcome to another Tea Time with myself, Amanda Prochaska. I'm so happy that you're here. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to talk about AI magic, particularly in AP. I had the opportunity to sit with one of our partners a couple of months ago, and I was completely fascinated, and I want to share what I've learned with you. So grab your favorite drink of choice, sit back, and let's have a great conversation about this for the next 15 to 20 minutes. All right, so before we get started, as always, we're going to talk about what I'm drinking today. The most important part is your magic. AP can be magical, I guess, but AI and AP, super magical, like unicorn status. So I'm drinking today one of my favorite all-time drinks. It's a cocoa drink that is made out of roasted cocoa beans and made into like a coffee type of a ground, and make it in my French press right here. My team knows that I drink it almost every morning, and it is completely magical to me. So I'm going to take a drink, and let's go ahead and get this party started. So our partner, Medius, they're all about AP. They have a long legacy of being really innovative in the AP space. We love them as a partner because they can be rapidly deployed, don't create a lot of change that's needed, but when it comes to some process work and stuff like that, that's usually where we get involved. But from a change side, they've completely changed the game there. So what did I see from them? So I had an opportunity to go to a luncheon with some of their prospects and some of their customers, and they were going through their new AI functionality. Now, AI gets a little bit of a bad name these days because everyone's coming out with something new in the AI space, and most of it is kind of not overly intriguing at this point, but some of it actually is super cool. And I think it's important as leaders that we understand that there's a good mix of hype and a good mix of reality going on right now. And for you as a leader to be thinking through the creative ways AI can be applied in your business and get into very particular use cases around it. So that's why I wanted to share what I've learned with you today, because I think there's some use cases coming out of AP that with the technology, the AI technology that we have today, it could be super intriguing to apply some AI to. Okay, so the first one that I found really intriguing was the way that invoices can get keyed into a system. Now, we all know that we've been talking about e-invoicing since before I started in this industry over 20 years ago. And yet, on a global basis, only about 30% of B2B invoices are actually electronic. So we've been talking about it for a long time, not overly successful in it. And one of those big reasons why I think we're not successful in it is that we've created this concept of a portal. And even if there's options within a portal for a supplier to use, they still have to go in to the portal to submit their invoices in the various different methods that could be used. That creates a lot of what we call supplier enablement, supplier adoption, a lot of change within organizations. And I'll use myself as an example. I'm a supplier to very, very large organizations, and a lot of those are using these e-invoicing portals. And so I have to create my invoice in my own system because that's where I maintain all of my books. That's where I know my P&L statement. So I have to create the invoice in my system. Then I have to do another step to go log into the portal of the supplier, whatever supplier or the customer's choice, right? So whatever they're using for their portal. And right now I think we have to log into several different portals, which is a pain. So you have to remember which portal to go into. You have to remember the sign in, and then you have to upload your invoice to their either purchase order, which sometimes is delayed, or there's no purchase order and we just upload the invoice. So it's an extra step along the way for each of your suppliers to do, and it's quite painful at the end of the day. So taking that example with AI functionality and how it is growing, I don't think it's going to matter which way you get an invoice moving forward. It could be emailed to you. It could be a PDF document. It could be an uploaded document. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you get that information into an electronic format without anyone touching it. And that's what AI is going to allow us to do. I saw it in Medius's example. They were showing how the functionality, kind of more of the machine learning AI application that they have in their tool, is looking at all of the different documents and understanding and comprehending that when there's something called an order number or a PO number or whatever that might be, that goes into the purchase order area of the invoice. And if there's a total, it goes here. So doesn't matter where it's located on the particular invoice that's coming in. It's just that it's starting to learn what these things mean and where to put that information into the system, so that you know that you have an invoice that is going to be processed and paid against a purchase order or not. So very, very interesting stuff there, because I think it's going to shift the thought process around supplier enablement in particular, where it allows suppliers like myself to send in invoices in whatever format that is natural to us without creating that extra step and that extra burden to go through a portal. So some of you might be thinking, we've had some of this already. Yeah, kind of. We've had certain technologies come out where you literally have to train the system on where that information is on an invoice coming in. So, which is cool if you get the same type of invoice every single time. Not so cool if you get different types of invoices each and every time. So there was a lot of training needed in those technologies. Now the AI is training itself, that the machine learning behind the AI, it's really taking away that kind of teaching element that we've had to do with some of the recent technologies that were out there. So huge game changer, totally shifts the thought process around supplier enablement and change around supplier adoption on e-invoicing. Okay. This is a cool one. This was a great example that they shared with me or us during the luncheon that we went to, was GL assignment on non-PO invoices. So not that your GL assignment is going to be the same every single time. It might not be, from the same supplier. It might differ. That accounting string might differ. But the AI is getting smart enough to be able to read those invoices and suggest the GL or accounting string that you have used previously. So at least narrows down the scope, which has been always a challenge with your non-PO invoices. Like you have to figure out, like, who does this actually go to? If there's not a name on the invoice of somebody internally, how do you route that to someone when it's completely unknown? And then it takes an extra step for that person that you've just routed it to maybe fill in GL information onto that invoice or the accounting string onto that invoice. The way that I saw it happen is that it actually is starting to learn what those account strings should be, or at least what you've used in the past, to give you a suggestion on what it could be moving forward. I think that is super awesome. It's going to reduce a lot of the steps in the process. Now, it might not be foolproof, like I said, it might change over time, but at least it gives you a starting point, which I thought was a lot of fun. All right, and probably really awesome for the AP invoice processing teams, to be able to have that information at their fingertips. So the third area that I thought was super interesting was all about troubleshooting and answering of questions. Now, we've had chatbots for a while now. Some of them were better than others, but what I saw around Medius was actually completely different. It was applied to emails. So you could get an email, which I don't know. AP never gets any inquiries or an email. They get them all the time, probably hundreds of them, whether it's internal people asking questions about invoicing or suppliers like, where the heck is my payment? They get emails all day long. So what this was able to do was you were able, through different functionality in their AI, their generative AI functionality, you were able to actually have responses given to those emails without anyone actually responding to the email. It was all AI driven. Now, here the example they gave in the luncheon was all about a fraud request. So somebody was emailing saying, "Hey, can you change X, Y, and Z's bank account?" Okay, which is always kind of like something that should throw up flags. And so the AI was able to go back and say, and inquire about that and give the recommended process to be able to understand what that, how to get in a bank account approved or changed. So it was super interesting. They had all kinds of examples around those different email responses. And I just remember, gosh, this was years ago, but I just remember when I was working at Kraft, and we deployed a whole triage process around ticketing on emails and where do certain emails go for certain responses. We also did something similar at MGM when I was there. And I know it's a hard thing to be thinking through, like all of these different inbound emails that you guys get in AP. What do we do with them? And when it's a manual thing, what I saw, at least in my experience, is that some emails got passed around a whole bunch. So they would come into AP, but it was actually about a purchase order question. So then it would get routed to the procurement team or the buyers. Then the buyers only could answer half of the questions. So then it went back to AP to answer the rest of the question, or out to a goods receipter. Those emails can be routed to so many different people. And then all of a sudden you're looking at it and you're like, this was a pretty simple question that took 4 different people to respond to. This AI email response could be a complete game changer when it comes to that. Now, obviously, you have to have trust in what it's saying and make sure that you're monitoring it so it's not giving out incorrect information, which we've heard some very public cases of here as of late. But I think that if you can apply that email response to certain situations and have it escalate in other situations, it's going to be dramatically different for AP departments moving forward. So those are my 3 most exciting things that I saw at this luncheon. And why I, again, wanted to share with you is so that you can start thinking as an AP professional or even as a procurement professional over the procure to pay process. How can I practically start implementing AI in my process to simplify things, to accelerate things, to have your teams focused in other areas? And these, I thought, were 3 very cool examples of where this work is already being done in the industry. So if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. We would love for you to follow along with us on this journey of talking about all things change management, technology, and beyond. And we love that you're here and watching these videos. If you would like to learn a little bit more about Wonder Services, the company that I started 5 years ago, please go ahead and check us out at wonderservices.net. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, cheers, bring on that magical AI, and we will talk soon.